Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. I'm actually recording this, right out after I close my shift, which I haven't really been doing after a while. I've been, going home first before I do this. But I kind of want to do this here because I can at least get loud here. I can get loud here because even though I could get loud, at my place, I try and be considerate of everybody else. So, man, oh man, I kind of want to talk about something that kind of happened here. And, yeah. And I know I'm making these videos, but please keep in mind that these aren't necessarily like air quotes projection videos, like I'm desperate for a relationship or something, but it's like essentially what happened at work today. And I don't understand why the heck these people are in the workforce. And I'm just going to keep referring to them as these people. And you can fill in the blank because you already know how CuckTube is going to be if I say certain things, right? But essentially, double X chromosome manager, right? They decided to get on one of the workers, like the cooks, because they hadn't taken their break. Now, mind you, this whole day we have been understaffed. So it's not like he could have taken his break to begin with, But double X chromosomes essentially was trying to say that that's his fault and blah, blah, blah. And that she would cover it for him this time, but not next time. And so I just look at that and I say, number one, why the heck are you in a management position if you do not want to do your role as a manager? You're obligated to know how to perform most of the tasks to run the establishment as a manager, in order to become what's that word again? Manager. It's in the name. And you're going to make it seem like it's a problem for you doing your job. You're getting paid a higher salary because you know all this. And because you have to, do some of this every now and again. And you're going to make a big problem with it. And so I will never understand these freaking managers that get mad that they actually have to manage and do their freaking jobs, So he essentially, he didn't snap or anything because this is the gay guy that I mentioned, and I'll probably mention it in the title. But he said this essentially, like as he kind of like walked past me, kind of mumbled. He said, "Thank God I'm gay." And you know what? I get it. Because think about it. This person is in a position of power, right? Over him. You're the manager, you got more authority, blah, blah, blah. You can decide to like fire them if you felt offended and stuff like that. They can do that. I did overhear them saying at one time that like if somebody air quotes blows up on you, like you can fire them on the spot for that, which is honestly retarded to me. Because if what's blowing up, like obviously you could say cussing them out or something like that, but if like just kind of like, like standing your ground, if like they're doing some bullcrap, if that's blowing up and you could get fired, that's absolute nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. But when he said that, again, it made sense because think about it. If she's in a position of power, over people here, just imagine how she's treating people, in a freaking relationship or something like that. Think about what poor sod has to deal with that every single day. Because he feels like this is the only person he could be with on earth. Just think about it for a minute, man. And I'm just like, you know what? I wonder how many guys, because listen, my coworker, he's one of the gay guys that, in my opinion, are like, I want to say the genuine ones. They're not incredibly over effeminate. They're not trying to dress like women and stuff like that. They're just two guys into two guys, right? And that's pretty much it. It's not all of this like flamboyant, over the top nonsense, and it's not like this is his whole identity. He doesn't talk about this 24/7. He's not like, wearing the bright colors or nothing. It's just who he takes to the bedroom. And those are the kinds of people that I can get along with. Not the freaking alphabet soup mafia bastards that make it seem like that is their entire identity. And if you are not constantly saying that, yeah, I support you, you're some kind of phobe, So when he like mumbled that, I'm like, yeah, because he's got his man, as they say, right? And I'm sure that there is little to no drama in that household. I mean, think about it, bro. Statistically speaking, they have the most successful marriage rate right now. It's not even close. We're talking like 25% increases when you add XX chromosomes. Their marriage rate is 75%, like they stay together, right? Male and female marriage rate is 50%. They stay together, which I'm going to be honest, it doesn't even add up to me because all of the divorce, 80% of them are initiated by the females, but somehow like it's 50%, success rate that they stay together. That just doesn't add up to me. And then when you get into the Let's Beans marriage, they have a 25% success rate of staying together. Every time you add double X chromosomes to the picture, the failure rate goes up by 25%. I wonder what the common denominator is. Anyone know? Anyone know what the common denominator is? Because honestly, I wonder how many guys, are actually even all that into guys, or if they're just like kind of like some of these people that, they feel like they have to stick it in something. Because there are guys like that, and for some reason they say, yeah, I'd rather just have something for free. Because to be real, like, every time I've seen, like, because I've only really seen 2 instances of this, right? Because I basically have 2 people. It's not like I talk to them regularly, but, like, they're the reasonable gay guys, right? The reasonable ones. The ones that hate the alphabet soup mafia and stuff like that. Every time, like, I've spoken to them, there isn't hostility. It's easy. There's no drama. If there is an issue, like, they address it right then and there. They don't pretend like they're going to read each other's emotions and stuff like that. Like, the nonsense that they have of, like, modern, like, relationships with, like, the fruit bowls, it is such a freaking, a Shakespeare, if you will, of what it actually is for those guys. For those guys, it's kind of like just direct. If there is a problem, they just talk about it, and that's that. And they get it out the way. They don't sit around here, like, just essentially, like, taking it to bed, like how, the male and female relationships work. Where, like, they just don't say what the problem is. They pretend like everything's alright and nothing's alright. That doesn't usually happen with them. Everything's direct because males are usually direct. Now, I want to make this very clear. I'm not saying this as somebody who's interested in hopping the fence, if you catch my drift. I'm just saying, yeah, I wonder if some of the people who are even, hopping the fence, shall we say, to try and avoid this getting freaking banned or something, right? I wonder if they are actually people that are into it, or if they just, like I said, they got to have something in their eyes. And they said that they'd rather have, like, no drama. Because, listen, I laughed. I did laugh. I didn't laugh, like, out loud, but I chuckled for a good minute when he said, like, thank God I'm gay. I did. Because, hands down, when you really think about it, he is avoiding a heck of a lot of drama. Because he don't have to worry about none of that. He doesn't have to worry about divorce, rape, alimony, child extortion, none of that. Now, should he have had to hop the fence to do that? I don't necessarily think so. Because, like I said, he's one of these people that you wouldn't really be able to tell. But, you never know. And, again, my friend mentioned this one time. Like, he doesn't understand, like, how you could be a fruit bowl if, like, there's Latinas around. And I was like, simple. Because they can blow up on you same as any other gal. And to be honest, I've been around, like, some Latinas in my time, and the way that they get angry, like, on, like, movies and TV, that crap is real. That crap is real. They'll start talking really fast and get really loud. I am not kidding. And the thought of being with that, yikes. And if you do think you're safe, by the way, let me go ahead and tell you a story. Back when I was still in Miami, this is not even that long ago, okay? There was a Spanish minister that my family was doing some contract work for. And they did some contract work for him kind of on a regular basis, right? Well, lo and behold, like, he, on the outside, seems like, you know, he's got everything going on. He raises his family. He has his own company, his own warehouse and stuff like that, where he customizes doors. He builds custom doors. You know, for all intents and purposes, this man is good. He's a good family man. He's a minister. Whether or not you take that seriously is irrelevant. You know, like, he does what he's supposed to do. Well. Divorce grenade goes off. She makes it seem like he, you know, was doing X, Y, and Z, you know, the standard operating crap. I don't know the full details because it's not like we were that close. I didn't, like, go to any of the courts, obviously. They try to keep that private, but she takes his kids, goes all the way to Texas for a house that he had in there, and she was withholding the kids from him. But before she did that, she took it upon herself to essentially ruin the guy's company. And all of the workers took her side. Most of them took her side, to where he had to shut down his company. He had to get rid of the warehouse that he spent so hard to get as his, like, you know, kind of like base of operations. And yeah, he didn't see his kids for a long time, dude. Like, it was a couple of years. He sees them now, but I just remember looking at that man who was once, like, always smiling, and he had so much joy to him, and he just loved being around his kids. You know, he was a family man. Like, their culture is obviously, like, you know, they put a lot of emphasis on family, you know, like Spanish culture and stuff like that. And he looked awful. He looked awful during that time period. I know that was hurting his soul to be away from his kids like that, dude. And again, this was a Spanish woman. You know, for all these idiots that are going around here saying, if I go get them over here. I think the truth of the matter is, if you give these people, you know, the ability to do it, they'll do it. Most guys, I think even if you gave them the ability, they wouldn't do it. Would there be some? Yeah. But I say even at most, I think at most 30% of guys would do it. Like, you know, like, destroy their family for their own benefit. 30% at most. With the gals, like, holy cow, this is like 80 to 90% of them that's doing it. They just don't care. They just don't care, man. But, I'm not going to drag this on too much. I just felt like that was very, very funny that after having that chick, like, essentially give that man crap, who is pretty much, you know, like a kind of decent worker here. He doesn't complain. He just gets everything done. He doesn't start drama. And you're going to give him crap because you have to do your job that you signed up for, that you became a manager for, to the point where he just had to say it. Like, thank God I'm gay. Uh-huh. I'm sure, bro. Because he doesn't have to deal with any of that crap. But, you know, I wish I could have told him, you know, like, if he didn't hop the fence, you know, that, hey, you could have just ring. You don't have to deal with their crap. That's why I'm telling you, you know, like, it's not just like, you know, a long-time listener here, Tom, but it's some people in my family in general. They'll try and tell me that, oh, you need, like, a girlfriend and stuff like that. Oh, they're dead-ass wrong. They are dead-ass wrong, bro. I've had girlfriends, and I'm just telling you, bro, that is not what you think it is. I'm not telling you this is, you know, warning for you not to get one. It's up to you at the end of the day. Because I'll tell you something right now. I think my friend personally, like my best friend, who I mentioned a couple of times in these videos, I think he'll get a girlfriend one of these days. I foresee it happening. But he's had one before, and the breakup, I had to talk him out of killing himself. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. I do foresee him getting one. You know, but I'm going to try and make sure that he doesn't isolate himself. You know, and we'll see what happens. Because There's a reason why guys tend to do that, because they trade all of their friends and the guys that they would hang out with on a regular basis for this girl. And then the girl dips or cheats or something, and now all their support circles are, weak because they didn't nurture them. Because they spent so much time trying to nurture that relationship that they felt was going to last forever. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'm not going to drag this one on. I'm going to go ahead and get my arse home so I can get some rest. Well, not rest. I'm actually going to eat some freaking protein, do some workouts, and call it a night, But as always, I want to thank you guys for listening. I want to thank you guys for giving me some strength, because like I said, you guys do give me strength, a lot more than you think. I'm not going to act like I'm out of the woods yet. There's still a lot that I have to deal with. There's still a lot that I have to work towards, but I think we can get it, boys. I really do. Thank you guys once again. God bless. I'll see you next time.